Good morning and welcome to the Legit Real Estate Podcast. Hold on, I have something showing up on my screen where we're going to start with a pop-up ad. Is that what we're doing? Good
CJ
morning.
is
I'm here with Holly Regoli. Holly, good morning.
good morning.
How many times have we said we're going to have a guest over here and we finally do?
We
This
roped
is
someone
exciting.
in.
Monday, Elyse, good morning to you. I'm so excited. We always say we want to have someone here to share their stories, and we have someone to share a story, and I'm very excited. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
How
for
long have you been
coming
in real estate?
on.
Tell the people. How long? 5 minutes.
2 million years. I got my license in October of 2002. So
Damn.
22 years. It just sounds ridiculous.
It doesn't. It really does sound like a long
Ridiculous.
time.
How is that possible? I'm not really sure,
When
but
anniversaries roll around, they're upsetting more than anything. I used to get excited, like when I got to 5, I was like, "Yeah," but then each one goes
right.
by. It's like, that's what I'm doing.
The 22 years of one transaction at a time.
That's it. What's going on, Holly? How you doing? How's your day?
It's better. I woke up so late this morning. I haven't gotten any sleep this week. So every time the kids had to get up, I'd get them out of bed, and then I'd go back to bed, and then I I finally woke up. Finally. Usually I'm like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up. This morning I just needed sleep. I can't get anything done until
Oh,
everybody goes to bed at night lately.
this damn house is set up. Whoever built it wasn't considering like the sunrise. So this time of year, the sun's blasting directly in my face, like directly. There is no sleeping in this house because the sun just, and I don't have blinds, so the sun just like blasts you, wakes you up every morning. Boom. Elise, what do you want to talk about? I'm excited that we have someone here. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about,
Well,
as
we
long
can
as it makes.
talk about whatever, but I was just talking to Holly at a meeting on Monday, and we were just chatting about real estate experiences and things that we see. And I was telling her that I want to start like a series because my life is like I always end up taking something home from the sale that's unique and needs to be removed from a property for some reason. So, I have a hutch and I have a kayak and I have a boat, and a lot of other things. And it got me thinking about a couple of funny stories. And Holly said, come on and we'll
Oh,
share a few.
please. I love hearing funny stories because we are in an industry where there's just the craziest things that happen, the craziest things we see, and we love to hear other stories.
Well, yeah, I'll only tell the PG ones, but I have lots of them, unfortunately.
But
At
it's not a
22
PG
years.
show. CJ swears too much, so I have to click those boxes that there's explicit language. So you don't hold back.
I won't then. So I was just talking to you guys before you hit record. This is probably my most recent situation, and it's pretty funny and like a great story. But we had a beautiful house that my buyers were buying, and it was really difficult, like towards the closing process, like really having any confidence that they were going to be leaving. One of the individuals was disabled, and one of the individuals was elderly, and it was just going to be a while. So we helped them move out, and then they had movers come and take their stuff at the last minute. And they called us and said, "We're out, everything's gone, we're all set." And we went through, and there was some like crash in the garage, and we just, ordered a dumpster, no big deal. And we get up to the bedroom, and there's a leg,
What?
A
a leg,
leg.
like
What kind of leg?
like like a prosthetic. So I called the seller and I said, "Hey, like you, you left your leg." Because I wasn't quite sure how to handle it. "Do you need it? Because I'd be glad to bring it over." And he responded with, "No, I don't need it at all." Like,
I don't need my leg anymore. Don't need it.
we don't need it. So I was like, "Why don't you need your leg?" Like, it just seems like such a logical thing to need. So the buyers kept it, and they decorate it for Christmas and put it on the mantle.
Do they do one
They
of
put a
the
label.
legs from the Christmas story? Did they make one?
Well, they put it on the mantle with like Christmas lights and a Santa hat. So it's like a part of their life. They traded it off with a friend and like hid it in their backyard, and they brought it back. It's like a running joke over that house.
That's hysterical. You have to. You have to. If I was left with something like that, oh, the things I would do.
I mean, and they had left us with lots of garbage too. So they were like a little bit angry. So this leg became like, some comic relief in a very crazy situation.
That's hysterical.
Right.
hanging out with some. I mean, that's going to be a fun story after a few drinks, right? You're looking at some prosthetic leg in the mantle. That's kind of fun.
Where did you get that? I'm like, oh, that was a seller's gift.
Right? Oh Lord. Did I told the story about the book, right? We do always end up with all kinds of stuff, right? So when we go to find a walkthrough, because I'm like, I'm not losing this deal right now. I'll just take whatever it is.
Just throw it in
And
my trunk.
the wife sometimes, man, she'll be looking like, what the F are you doing now? Like trunks full of books, magazines, whatever it is.
Hate.
Oh,
So
wood,
much
I have
hate.
miscellaneous pieces of wood around like in the garage. That's just random wood. None of it's from me. I don't do woodworking, but yeah, we're not gonna I'll take it. Whatever.
I
You
have
have to.
I have a what's it called? A brush hog upside down because the water there was no fuel cap on it. And my client insisted that it worked, and I'm like, oh, I want one so bad. It's like a real old one though, so I have no clue if it really works, but I have it upside down because the water was getting into it. At some point, I'd like to see if I can get it fixed because those things are usually expensive, but it's a big rusty bucket looking thing, so I don't know if it's actually gonna work.
Because you got to
What
do
the
what you got to do.
What is that? What does that do?
Oh, you ride it over trees and everything, and it just eats everything in the way.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Pulls up all
I
like the baby roots and the like it's awesome.
everything. I've seen it take down trees, or at least a real good one. I keep trying to convince my husband to let me get goats to eat up all the brush and the trees and stuff like that in the back, but he hasn't let me get goats yet. So I'd like to get this thing working at some point.
That's a genius. That's a genius thing. I think you should get goats. You can even like rent them out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to take the logical point of view. I do not think you should get goats.
I
I
want
don't think you have
goats.
5 minutes to yourself and you're going to take on the responsibility of goats.
I just want to pen them up and have them eat my brush
Right, right.
so
You
that
won't have
I
to.
don't have to clean
Yeah,
it.
fine. It'll be fine. Speaking of speaking of goats, right? So my kid plays little league, and I hang out with this other parent, right? We've become really good friends. Our kid has been on the team for 2 years together, so that's a lot of hours of just hanging out, practicing games. And he's got a house in Italy. You know what? His house in Italy, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath house in Italy. He can't even get it listed for 110,000. The
What?
realtor they want 110 for it, and the realtors won't take it at that price because they say it'll sit.
We should be investing in international real estate.
And he had
That's
another one.
nuts.
I guess his aunt's house is 75,000 and it's been on the market for like 6 months. Like you just can't sell in whatever village that they live in or whatever town. I had it written down, I forgot it, but $100,000 and they can't get rid of it. I mean, it's old, but
That's
you
nuts.
Who
can't buy
doesn't
it,
want an old piece of property in Italy? Like that to me that seems illogical, but I'm
My
Italian.
right?
husband's family sold their house the year I met him. They had a house. They're from Italy. They sold their house the year I met him. We keep saying we want to go back there and see some of his family before they're
So
gone, but
what made me think of that is when you mentioned the goat, he was like traumatized as a kid. His mother was telling me, his father was telling me, because he went there and he was petting the goat, and then like that goat became dinner, and he saw the whole thing. Like grandma comes out there, and he's like, my grandmother comes out and she just pulls the head up and like, I mean, I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't want to see it happen.
no, I don't eat my animals. I have the chickens for the eggs. I
Uh-huh.
have, other pets, but no, I can't eat what I raise.
No, 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 no. You have chickens?
I
Never
had
did
them.
that. Eggs
Do
are
you
like
have some
$20
too?
a gallon.
I had them, but we had to get rid of them. The town was like, nope. We live on a reservoir, so the rules are like a little hazy. I don't know. They think you're going to throw the chickens in the water. I'm not quite sure why, but
Oh, maybe
seems sort of ridiculous, but we had to get rid of them. But I grew up, my grandmother had chickens, and we would like Saturday morning, she'd go up and snatch dinner for Sunday, and I helped. I mean, I didn't have a choice. So I kind of grew up with that.
yeah.
The
Old
way
Italian, old school. We picked out of the
Yeah.
garden and grabbed a chicken and made
Hmm.
Sunday dinner for the entire family that was coming over on Sunday. It was just
everything
part of
tastes
life.
so much better when it's like that. That's so much better.
I prefer to get mine packaged wrapped in, I like to get it from the farm, but I don't want to see it happen.
It's too
Yeah.
much work for me just to get the stupid skin off of it. I wouldn't like even from the store. I'm like I've gone pheasant hunting and stuff. I don't like dressing birds. It's not. I'm too busy. Way too
You're too
busy.
busy, but you want the
Yeah,
goats.
No, I want them to do all the brush work for me.
They're
And
going to cut down on her busy schedule by
yeah,
I see the logic here. You're not going to win this one, TJ.
That's like, well, I'm outnumbered.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely outnumbered, but that's like some twisted girl math when you think getting living things is going to make your life easier. I have not found that to be true.
well, I
feel
have
like it could be
teenagers now
lucrative.
that take care of the animals, so it makes it a little easier. My son feeds the
In,
chickens and takes care of them, so he can take
in
care of the
theory,
goats.
once you master the goats, you could get yourself a goat truck and your son could like take them to people's property and manage their brush and you could make pulling
We're starting businesses.
goat rental.
Yes. Oh,
Alicia,
actually, my friend did rent goats to eat down their blueberry bushes so they could plant a vineyard. So it is a legitimate thing.
Our town used them to eat the poison ivy around the reservoir.
Yep.
what town
It
are
was
you
kind
in?
of cool.
What town do you live in?
Blackstone, Mass,
Oh, I
right
know
over the
that. Yeah, it's right over the line. Yeah, but it's different up there. I coached
line.
in North Smithfield for a year, and those Blackstone, like they were kind of like, it's a neighboring town. It's a little different, a little
It
different way
is.
of that part of the world.
I mean, I'm an East Bay girl, so it was definitely an adjustment, but I like it up here.
So what other
Uh,
kind of fun things have you come across on your journeys?
Okay. So like a lot. So I'm trying to like think of how I can like, come up with the stuff on the spot because the leg obviously was like lingering in my head. Um, so since we're not really a PG show, I guess I can tell you the story that I told you the other day, which is I had this listing and I had just had my daughter. So I was bringing her in a carrier like to the to the to the showings. And the homeowners, for some reason, like, I don't know if they didn't trust me, they didn't feel comfortable, but they just would not leave the property. And they kept saying, well, we'll just go in the camper. It's like, okay. And they did like 3 or 4 times, and everyone felt awkward. Every buyer knew they were there. It was like really causing, you know, a problem. So on the last showing, like I fired myself after this, just so you know. I knocked on the camper to let them know I was leaving, and they were like in the middle of having sex.
nice,
And I
nice.
was
They
like,
couldn't
"Oh,
wait.
well, I'm leaving. Like, I'm out of here. I gotta go."
I guess they got a
Uh,
thrill with other people being around.
I think it was like a thing that I just didn't
Oh,
wasn't aware of, and it definitely destroyed the transaction. To say it
oh my
mildly, I was
God.
mortified. I didn't even know what to do. I was like, "Oh,
As if it's not awkward enough
bye."
when
Like
the sellers. Yeah,
it's always bad, right?
going to
It's
the
always bad for the seller's home. Like the little old man in the living room. Like it's awful. But to be having them like enjoying themselves was a little
Oh,
awkward.
people, it's so weird when people are home. There was one I looked at in Connecticut that it was a multi-family, but it was like all one family living. It was the weirdest showing I think I've ever gone on. And in part of it, like, so the whole family was home. And like you'd go in one room and you've got one guy saying, "Oh, well, I've got this over here," and blah blah. You walk in the like past the living room, there was another sitting room. There was a lady just in a recliner, completely laid out. And I'm like, and my son was with me. He's like, "Is she dead or alive?"
Okay.
Like she looked, I'm like, I was trying to tell if she was breathing. I'm like, did she just like, I don't know, did something happen to her? Like, how do you sleep? It was an open house. There were literally line of people going through the house, and she was out cold, sleeping in the middle of the living room in the recliner.
Tenants are really good for not giving a damn and staying home. And you
They
find
love to
like,
be home.
like we're gonna stop packing bowls right when I'm bringing people through the house. Like, and then you're gonna be mad when the new owner wants you to leave. Like maybe you shouldn't have been smoking pot during the showings. Maybe you should put some clothes on. Yeah, tenants love to be home. They feel like everyone's gonna rob them. Like no one's here to rob you.
No.
We're just
We
here to
don't
sell
want
a
your
house.
stuff. Yeah, we don't want
We
your
don't
stuff.
really
As a
don't.
matter of fact, we don't really want you to be there, but like, we'd like to pick our own tenants, but have a nice day.
Owner, it's worse when it's an owner than a tenant because it's so easy to explain away the tenants, right? Because it's a bitch to
Right.
schedule them, and people are usually pretty understanding, right? But when it's the owner, it's like, dude, you gotta let me do my job. You're not helping the situation here. You're over talking. You're oversharing. Go
Mhm.
away. Don't go have sex, but definitely go away.
Somewhere else, please.
Or
Yes,
do
that would be
less sex.
excellent.
Get a room, buddy.
Down the street, like anything.
Yeah, no, this one was crazy. There was the whole family was home, and then the other side of the house was very very rough shape. I mean, like she had probably like 12 cats and it smelled terrible. And then you go upstairs and there was one person in the room and she had a tank full of chickens, like baby chicks that she had like the heat lamp on in her bedroom. And like another few cats up there and then a situation where some of them were getting evicted, but they were family. And it was just like, and you get the story from every one of them. And it's like, well, you can't go in this unit because they're hostile. And I'm like, okay, it was a very, very interesting situation.
So I think one of my very first transactions, it must have been like, it was probably 2004. It was like the market was a little janky, to be honest with you. It wasn't great yet. And it was like starting to speed up. And it was a client called me because he was losing their property. It was like friend actually, like, and he was losing his property and he's like, I need help. And so I sold it, and it was a short sale. So I was new to the business. I wasn't sure how long it was going to take. He had moved out and moved into his apartment. I didn't think about like how long it was going to take. We'll say, so say it was like November. So everything gets approved in April. We'll go forward. And the house has been locked up. And I assumed that he had like turned off the heat and the water and all those things before he left, but he did not do those things. So when I got there for the final walkthrough, we're walking towards the front door. And okay, I'm really raw. We're talking, I'm 20, 28. I don't know a lot about property yet. I walk, I'm like, why are all the windows steamy? Like they're fogged up and they look wet. And there's like, this does not look good. And I get closer to the front door and there's a huge puddle like coming out the front door. And I open the door and water comes like rushing out the front door. And I was like, what the
no.
fuck do I do now?
Oh my
So
God.
it was 2006. I remember this. So I call the owner and he's like, what do you mean I was supposed to turn the heat off and turn off the water? And I was like, well, I assumed you did. I guess I should have not assumed, but we have a little problem. So I can't really get into the house. It's like an ocean. Like there's water coming out.
Oh my
It's ankle deep.
God.
I'm newer. I'm all dressed cute. This is before I knew I didn't need to do any of that. I didn't have any muck boots on. I'm like, what am I going to do? So the agent who I'm working with is Matt Antonio. And I look at him and I'm like, what are we going to do? And he's like, we're all just panicking. So we get into the basement and turn off the water. This is the first problem.
Mhm.
And I'm walking into the house and the ceiling has like 12-inch pink, like stalactites and stalagmites coming out.
Oh my God.
And the ceiling fans have bent and closed like a tulip and they're like covered in mold and the house is completely destroyed.
Oh my God.
And we all look at each other and the homeowner's taking zero responsibilities. Like, I don't know what to do. Like I gave it back to the bank and the bank took a long time. And the bank's like, well, I don't really know what to tell you. So we went back into like the bidding, like the files, and they renegotiated the price and we bought it for just a lot. And they ended up knocking it down and building another house.
Oh my God.
Lessons on winterization.
Oh
The
my
hard way.
God.
I didn't know a ceiling fan could fold up like a tulip. That's like
No, it literally like they closed and then it like molded closed and it was pink. So it literally all I am at, like in my brain, I think of it like it was a tulip hanging from the ceiling.
Oh my God.
I will
That is
never forget it.
nuts.
Completely destroyed this house, all because he was just like, I can't do this anymore. And he just walked out.
Oh my God.
right. I'm trying to think of how that could even happen. Like, he just left the sink on and took off? Like the water had
No.
No, the
So-
pipes froze.
Oh,
Pipes froze. He didn't turn
and
off
then
the
they
water.
cracked.
He didn't keep any oil in the heat. So he left with oil in the tank, walked out, shut the door, and just that was it. Never went back. So now in the spring.
That's what happens. My first flip, it started raining in the living room because we changed the boiler, but I didn't know the pipes had frozen cracks. So when we tested the new boiler, water started coming from every hole. Oh my goodness, that cost so much money.
Right.
My
So
first
this
flip,
was
$5. Imagine it's just running all summer, all
for
spring.
weeks. Yeah, weeks and weeks and weeks while the bank was like, well, we don't know if we're going to approve this $200,000 offer. Like now I think they got $45,000 for it eventually.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily,
Did they get
the
to put
buyer
in
was
any kind of, who had insurance on that? Was it the bank at that point? Because it was bank owned?
I think, yeah, I think they ended up like the seller had no responsibility except maybe tax wise. Um, and the bank ended up sort of eating the loss, I think. And the buyer took it for the lot and leveled it, used the foundation and built another house.
Oh
So
my
you're the only
God.
one in this conversation that has went through the short sale world, right? So when I
Oh,
first
I've
got
been
in,
there.
there
I
were
had to short sale
some
2 properties.
that was like all the time in a certain era. That was like constant,
Oh,
right?
all the time. I kind of feel like I'm still the master of a short sale. If you give me a short sale, I'm going to get it done. But I have had one took 28 months. It was a long
Oh my
time.
God.
And
That's
it
crazy.
was one of those houses in Elmwood, gorgeous, huge, beautiful house with all historic everything. And the homeowners, I had been represented the buyer. They had come from out of state and they were a lovely couple. They wanted to be like in a transitional area. And it was the peak of the market in 2005 and they paid more than I advised them to pay. And so when the market turned and their life changed at the same time and they had to sell, they were way underwater. At the same time, they'd also gotten like a terrible mortgage. Like her uncle was her mortgage broker. I could go on and on about this deal.
Predatory
And I
lending. Predatory
predatory
lending.
lending. He absolutely took advantage of her. I leaned over at the closing, said, "Don't buy this house." But long story short, she bought it. Then 18 months later, the market was tanking. They got a divorce and they were moving out of state. They had to sell the house. I put it on for like 215, which was like 160 less than they sold it for. And I got a buyer. And then it took too long and they walked and I lost 6 buyers. And in between that, the pipes burst. There was
Unfortunately.
$3,000 worth of water damage.
Oh,
And I ended up selling it for $104,000. They ended up taking a $275,000 loss on property.
oh.
I wonder if we go back into that cycle. I don't see how we get back into it in the near future, but eventually someday there will be another cycle. Do you
It,
think the banks will have like a plan so that's not happening? Because they don't win in that situation.
There's
no, I do
rules.
feel like, yeah, that was a
There's new
long time
rules.
ago and it's gotten better because most of the ones that I've done in the past, say, decade, because that was probably more than a decade ago, have been under 180 days. But it still should be faster. To
It
me, it's
really,
like
really,
it's a bill brainer. Someone's not paying. Here's somebody who's willing to pay what they're willing to pay. Take it and run. Write the loss. Go.
right. It's not
But
like they don't have billions and billions of dollars. Like take the damn hit for 100 grand. They don't even
right.
notice.
No.
But I think we're also in a different situation. So I did get my mortgage loan officer like certification. I was doing that for a little bit, and doing that in a period after the market tanked. There's a lot of protocols and rules and stuff like that that go into effect now. Where being subject to that, like I had lenders that told me, go ahead and I had a house that I was living in, a 2-family house, and I had the agent and the lender telling me, just make a fake lease saying someone's moving into this house, and that you're going to move to the 4-family so you can buy the 4-family with no money down.
Oh yeah.
And it was at the peak of the market, and they're like, we're just going to give you a first and a second mortgage, and you're going to be able to buy it now because it's interest only, and your interest rate is here, and it's going to be adjustable interest. But don't worry about it because the market, you can refinance before your rate goes up. But that's where all this predatory stuff came in, and I didn't know. I was like 22, 23, and everyone was doing that. Both my houses were bought like with where it shouldn't have been. So now they're making you put money down. They're making sure, you might have adjustable rate stuff, but there's locks on there and you're not subject. It's totally different than it was back
I
then.
I definitely have post-traumatic stress disorder over adjustable rates. I don't think there's ever a time that I'm going to advise someone to be like, go for the adjustable rate. After that, I call that the big purple house. I refer to that house a lot in my business and with other people. And the lesson I learned there is like, I literally begged her, like, I don't need this sale. You don't need to close on this. We'll find another house. Like, please do not buy this. And when she called me a year later, she's like, I just got a bill from my mortgage company for $15,000. What does it mean? I paid my mortgage every month. And I'm like, nope, you didn't. All you paid was your interest, and that's your principal bill. And it got
Mhm.
tacked on the back, and it just became overwhelmingly destructive to their financial situation. And honestly, it's probably the reason why they split up in the first place. Like, it was just a disaster. So I just don't ever in good conscience recommend an adjustable rate unless you're really going to manage it and you're a financial wizard and you're going to
Yeah,
stay on top of it.
to say if you're somebody that know if you've been in 10 to 20 properties and you know what you're doing and you're playing funny with the
Different
math,
story.
to keep, but a first time buyer that so they can get a bigger house, like you're out of your mind. Like you're playing
Right.
with fire,
Yeah.
and
One missed paycheck.
Yeah.
it takes really something so small to screw you up, or you don't get your raises incrementally over that 5-year period, or you have a changing career where when the rate goes up after that 5 years, your income hasn't matched it. Forget it, you're screwed.
You're
And I'll tell you what,
absolutely up against the wall.
I've been getting advertisements for no income, no asset lones again.
No,
I
they're
haven't.
Oh
back.
God.
I've heard it all
No
over.
income, no asset is the most dangerous thing because you can just friggin' straight lie. And I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. I'm really not.
I do think there's a new program called like the all-in-one loan or something, and I do like the way that sounds. I've like been doing a little preliminary research before I tell anyone else about like, whether or not I would like recommend it. But if you like, I guess they use it in Europe and it's like coming here, and it seems like an interesting concept. So, but other than that, I just like my good old fashioned 30 or 15-year fixed rate. I know
Mhm.
what I'm going to be paying every month.
Yeah.
Budget friendly loan.
Yeah, I'm seeing a couple of the adjustable rate ones. The way that I'm hearing is it's for like 2 or 3 years, but you know what your payment is going to be, and you know that you're just getting that break for the first 2 or 3 years. It's not like, hey, when it adjusts, it's going to market rate. It's like, no, your rate is X, your rate is like 6%, and then we're giving it to you for 5% for like a year or 2 years, but you know you're going up to 6%. Before it was like,
Yeah.
no, you have your principal is, you're just paying interest, and then you're going to get interest and principal, and you're going to be whatever the market rate is. Well, whatever that market rate was when it went up was like I went from I think 7 to 9.5% or something like that, and had to pay principal and interest. I was like, I can't do this. I had to short sale
And
both
that's
houses.
that is just, I mean, I tend to work with a lot of first time home buyers, and that's where I live, and I'm happy to live there. And it's
Mhm.
like it's my land of happiness. However, those are two income reliant on those check human being. And God forbid, like even when the taxes adjust, they have to be prepared for that. And you have to like educate your buyer. And I feel like if you're just trying to
Oh no, we lost
We
Elyse.
lost her.
Oh no,
Oh, oh no.
you
All into
know.
hearing her about her first time buyers. I hope she chumps back in, but if she doesn't, I think I know kind of where she was going. But first time buyers, when you're doing a lot with them, and I really don't, but when I have one, you have to coach them on all the things that's going to happen, because the insurance is going to go up, the taxes are going to go up, right? The last thing they need is the rate to go up. There she comes.
Here we go. She's coming back. We lost you.
I know like we yelled.
sorry guys.
It's
So
okay. It happens.
you're telling us about first time buyers and how you have to prepare them for all the things that's going to change from day one.
Right. As a matter of fact, when I meet them, like, and they're still renting, I tell them for the next few months, I want you to start paying your mortgage ahead of time. So, like, if you're paying $1,300, well, you're not anymore, but say you're paying $1,800 a month for your mortgage, for your rent, and your mortgage is going to be $2,800 a month, I want you to start paying $2,800 a month now, and just put it in the bank. And then by the time we get to the point where we're locking you into a contract, you're going to have a few $1,000s saved, and you're used to paying the mortgage. Such a simple thing, but it helps.
Yeah. No, they definitely need that guidance.
They do.
You're
They're
right.
like babies.
First time they reassess, every 3 years, every town's going to reassess. They never go down, right?
No.
So that first time that happens, you're hitting the head. As a matter of fact, when I bought this house, we made one mortgage payment, and then the taxes went up, and it was like, God damn, like I didn't know where we were in the cycle. You'd think I would, but I didn't. And it was one payment, and then it was up. Oh, your payment's up another $180 or whatever it was. And if you can't stomach that, and that's why the last thing they need, these young buyers, is a adjustable mortgage. They just don't need it.
No, as it is, it's on the higher end of what we thought, what they're used to paying, and to just say, surprise, tomorrow your payment's gonna be $400 more.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like I said, I was stuck there before. So we are getting close to running out of time. We are very, very grateful that you came on. We love having another person on here and loved hearing some of your stories.
It was awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very
Anytime
much.
I drive by a house that has like a trailer attached to it, boom, Elise's story right in my head. Anyone parking the trailer in their driveway, I feel like they've got some motives.
make a stipulation in the listing contract that they must leave the property in order to talk. Yes, the whole thing.
Holly, where can people find us, Holly?
They can find us on Facebook. They can find us on YouTube. We are the Legit Real Estate Podcast. They can send us their stories. Even if you can't come on the show, we definitely want to have more people on. But if you can't come on, please send us your stories at the Legit Real Estate Podcast at gmail.com. And I think I do have us on all the places like YouTube and Amazon Music. I actually listen to the podcast on Amazon Music in my car. It's on the Apple one too. I think it's Apple. I always forget what that is, but we're everywhere I can try to put it. If it's not working and you want to see it somewhere else, let me know and I'll work on getting it there. I'm trying to figure it all out, but definitely send us your stories. Let us know if you want to come on our show. I like doing this. I like having somebody else on. So it's been fun.
It was definitely fun. So don't be afraid. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you very much.
Go for it. Thanks.
Thank you. I hope everyone has a great day. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.